The Indiana Bears.
Felicia, you really had to think about that for a second, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, but we have to start with this nastiness. So today started off okay, but brace yourself for a wet and windy night. The temperature also plummeting, and the rain has already begun. Downtown Indy, as you saw right there, and on radar, it is moving across Indiana as we speak. Good afternoon, I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence. We appreciate you joining us for 13 News at 4. Wet and windy, at least that's what Angela Buckman says.
It is so dark and gloomy out there.
There were a couple of hours very early this morning, say before 10 o'clock, before it's now looked like night since then. We have rain, we have wind. We'll take you out to that dark and gloomy sky. We are live along Interstate 69 in Bedford. We will be keeping an eye on traffic this afternoon as well. Wet roads, an afternoon, evening drive. Sometimes a really bad combination. It's also very windy out there. We have wind gusts topping 40 miles per hour right now in Greencastle at 42, gusting to 32 in Indianapolis, and a wind gust of 40 in Muncie. It's going to stay damp. It's going to stay windy. We're tracking a line of very heavy rain just west of Lafayette, just west of Terre Haute. We'll start near Marion County, where we've got rain across the county. Heavier rain right now from the Lebanon area through Brownsburg, Plainfield into Martinsville. Now let's go north. We'll pick up Monticello and Logansport, Frankfort. Lafayette heads up. That line of heavy rain and strong winds getting ready to move in now. To the south we go. Heavy rain headed into Nineveh and Franklin. It's raining in Ellettsville, Bloomington, south to Bedford and Mitchell. This will continue to move from west to east. I also want to point out the bursts of snow that are now happening in the western sections of Illinois. So we have rain and wind for the next couple of hours, but come tomorrow morning, bursts of snow, temperatures in the teens, wind chills in the single digits. As we transition from wet and windy, it may get a little icy and slick for some tomorrow morning. I'm going to cover that in the 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Angela. And as always, you can get access to our interactive radar and check out the hourly forecast on your phone. Plus, you can follow along with our team on the weather blog. It is a free download in your app store.
To the headlines now, and a major development in the Delphi murders case. Richard Allen's defense team is laying out the specific reasons why they are appealing his conviction.
So a jury found Allen guilty a little more than a year ago of killing teenagers Abby Williams and Libby German back in 2017. And this case has captured attention around the world. He is now serving a 130-year sentence. Rich
Nye has been pouring through the appeal brief that just came through today. And Rich, there is a lot to read there.
113 pages in that appeal brief, and the argument in this court filing centers on 3 points that ask his murder convictions to be overturned. The appeals attorneys argue that the search of Allen's home was unconstitutional and the evidence that was seized should have been thrown out. They say that Richard Allen spent 13 months in solitary confinement at a state prison before his trial, which amounted to psychological coercion for the many confessions he made behind bars. And they argued that the court excluded lots of evidence the defense wanted to present, especially regarding other suspects and alternative theories on the murders. One interesting point is that the appeal brings up that the jury never saw the original sketch of the suspect. That man was described as white, age 20, of medium build, and having brown curly hair. Allen's attorneys say that looks nothing like Richard Allen. We asked defense attorney Brad Banks to review this new appeal brief.
It'll be interesting to see if the Court of Appeals says some of these things the defense wanted to do, they should have been able to do. But then the next question becomes, is that enough to reverse? Or is that going to be what they will categorize as harmless error, where there's enough other evidence that, yeah, there were mistakes made. This is a long trial. Of course, there were some mistakes made, but there's not enough to send it back and say they have to do it over again.
Richard Allen was sentenced a year ago to 130 years in prison for the February 2017 murders of Abby Williams and Libby German near the Monon High Bridge in Delphi. And Allen is now serving that sentence at a prison in Oklahoma.
So what happens next in the appeals process?
So the Attorney General's office will represent the state. They will file a reply, and then the attorneys for Richard Allen could file another reply. Now, what's interesting is the Court of Appeals could ask for oral arguments in this case before they make their ruling on whether they would accept or grant the appeal in this case. There's much more I want to dig into in this appeal brief. Tonight at 5, the argument that Richard Allen was not in his right mind when he made all those confessions from prison, and the bizarre things that he was saying that the jury never heard.
All right, we'll look forward to that deeper dive coming up at 5 and 6, Rich. Thanks.
Right. To our next story today, Carmel police said they recommended charges for 3 young people linked to a fight at the Carmel Clay Public Library. Well, now the prosecutor's office will determine if any charges will be filed. It happened Tuesday. When officers arrived, there was a large crowd, between 500 and 1,000 people in and around the building. Well, the library was evacuated out of an abundance of caution. Police say only minor injuries were reported. A Carmel Clay school spokesperson provided a statement, and it says, in part, "We appreciate the support of the Carmel Police Department and the staff at the Carmel Clay Public Library. The library is an important community asset, and we want our students to value and respect spaces that provide positive environments for learning and preparation for finals."
Governor Mike Braun says he wants to focus on affordability, health care, and education as the top priorities in the new year. He talked about that during the latest in a series of what he calls fireside chats with different groups across the state. And if you recall, he ran on transparency and accountability. He said today he wants to continue that and wants to hear from anyone who wants to talk to him. Take a listen.
And I want to hear good ideas. I don't care where they come from. And we're all in the same boat together. Let's make Indiana the place that people look at, not necessarily places like Florida, Texas, Tennessee. That's my goal. Get our kids to move back here for a great place to build businesses, start a family.
He also talked about supporting small business startups as a key part of growing Indiana's economy.
Well, if you have not received some of your holiday packages just yet, you still have some time before Christmas, but we know the wait can be stressful.
Sure can. FedEx invited us inside their Indianapolis hub today for a look inside how package sorting works for the holidays. Our Ella Rhodes went and shows us now. So what'd you learn? That must have been an interesting experience to see the logistics around all of this.
I was amazed. This place is massive. And also I learned a lot. Like they sort through 111,000 packages per hour.
Per hour?
Per hour.
Wow.
I know, it's insane. So they expect their busiest day to be the 20th and then their busiest night to be the 23rd. So right before Christmas, really. So check out this video from inside the sorting hub. Hundreds of packages from trucks and airplanes go through a matrix where people then sort and scan the packages. The packages end up going on a conveyor belt that sorts them to a different truck or plane for its final destination. Senior Manager Heather Kerr says they currently have 4,500 employees, a bit more than normal to help with the holiday influx.
This is basically our Super Bowl for FedEx. This is when we get prepared. We plan all year for this. We work with our customers to find out what kind of service they need, what works best for everybody, so that we can give everyone their holiday cheer.
So they have 17 flights come in each day, and a mix from across the country and internationally. And then 14 flights leave the Indianapolis hub every day. And I even asked FedEx, I was like, is this your largest hub? Second largest hub in the country. So we're right behind Memphis, but it's packed and busy.
Well, it makes sense. We're centrally located.
Right, crossroads of America. So what do they recommend for people still waiting for our package?
Great question. So they say go online, use that FedEx tracker, because when your package is in this giant hub, it gets scanned 3 or 4 times while it's there, so they can always find it and locate it.
And we can know then, okay, it's still in the hub or wherever it is.
Processing,
Yes.
processing,
Right.
processing.
Yes.
All right, fingers crossed. Thanks, Ella.
Thank you.
For decades, the Franklin family has supported the Hoosiers. Andrew Franklin regularly attending IU football games, even in the years where they were struggling. Well, times have changed, and the Hoosiers enter the college football playoff now as the #1 seed. They'll be playing in the Rose Bowl for the first time since facing USC in 1968. His mom, who also went to IU, didn't want to miss it. His mom actually went to her doctor and had them induce her so that she could have Andrew early and make it to the game. The Hoosiers now return to the Rose Bowl decades later, led by Heisman-winning quarterback Fernando Mendoza, the first in IU history to win college football's top award. Andrew's grandfather was the executive vice president under IU President Herman B. Wells, and Andrew now wears his grandfather's watch engraved for that 1968 Rose Bowl and passed down through generations. He'll be wearing the watch when he attends the Rose Bowl with his wife Andrea in honor of his late parents who always wanted them to all go to the game together.
Oh, how wonderful.
Love those stories.
I do too,
that great?
because it's all about family at the end of the day. All right, so the Colts, they are in desperate need of a win as the regular season winds down.
Indy has dropped 4 straight and hasn't tasted victory since back on November 9th, the win over the Falcons overseas in Germany. So now with the margin of error basically evaporated, the Colts are turning their attention to Monday Night Football. Phillip Rivers is expected to make his 2nd consecutive start at quarterback as Indianapolis hosts the San Francisco 49ers under the lights at Lucas Oil Stadium. The Niners enter at 10-4 on the season, a team that's weathered a whole wave of injuries and still remains firmly in the NFC playoff picture. Colts head coach Shane Steichen credited San Francisco's resilience and the job Kyle Shanahan has done keeping his group competitive year after year.
I got a ton of respect for him. Obviously been doing it at a high level. And I think he does a good job, with the offense and the team in general, but the schematics on how he sets up his stuff, with McCaffrey and Kittle and the quarterback, he marries a lot of things off of what he does, believes in it. They run it good, they throw it good. They're playing at a high level. So just a ton of respect for him all around.
Praise for the Niners. And as you can see here, Anthony Richardson returned to the practice field. This is this afternoon. Eli Gaines going to have more on his status, and we're going to hear from Richardson himself coming up on 13 News at 5, a little less than an hour from now.
I jumped when I heard that. Oh, I wasn't
AR?
expecting. Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to be on the practice field because he's been out injured
And
for
if
so
you recall,
long.
so last week he was cleared to get back, but the question still remains: will he actually play on the field?
Okay.
So, but it's good to see him practicing.
I mean, because after the last injury, we were like, oh, okay, should have been Anthony Richardson's time to step in and really, do the dance.
Yeah.
Do the dance.
It would have been fun to watch the dance.
Rip up the gridiron. Cut the rug.
Looking forward to Monday.
Cut the
Monday
turf.
night. Will they do it?
I'll
Can
stop.
they do it? What do you think?
I want them to do it.
Okay.
Will they do it? I want them to do it.
That's a diplomatic answer. I like it.